Welcome to the F50 Woman Podcast, dedicated to sharing stories from a diverse community of women in order to provoke you into a passionate pursuit of life, build unshakable character, and achieve extraordinary things. Now, here is your host, Julia Jack.
She was mentored out of her feelings of unworthiness and able to find her way of giving back early in her life. But challenges from changing countries would cause her career to shift tracks. But that's not what changed everything. It was an interaction in one of the most likely places which would reignite her passion and birth her new book. Join me on this ride through Diane Young-Rodney's journey to becoming an advocate, a bridge builder, and a future best-selling author. This is a story of becoming. This is an up-and-coming F50 woman. Hey, this is F50 Woman. Thank you so much for joining. I am here today with Diane Young-Rodney. And she is a wife, she is a mother, she is a communication specialist, and she is a media journalist. So I'm very excited to have you here with us today, Diane. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
Now, full disclosure, Diane is not 50 years old yet. No, don't stop listening. I have Diane here because she has a book that is coming out. I think it's timely. If you see the artwork, you're going to love it. And the story is incredible. So I had to talk to her, not only to find out who she is, where she's been, and why. Why this book? Why now? So I'm looking forward to you sharing your story.
My pleasure, Julia. Thank you so very much. I'm elated to be here and, to be able to share.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with you as a younger woman. We want to know who you were because, that inspires us to know that when we get older, even if you're not 50, you can still do some great things. So tell us about when you were younger. Just tell us who you were.
As a younger person, Diane was a chatty person, in school. Always had something to say, was always loving, always smiling, always getting involved in stuff. I was a youth leader in high school. So in school, I was a leader. Mm-hmm. I was the head of the Key Club, the debating group, choir, students' council, and the head girl. So I was very busy doing all sorts of stuff, getting home late because I was preparing for some debate, and, very active. I loved school, but younger Diane was not necessarily self-assured and self-aware in terms of not about her qualities, but in terms of her looks. Because as a young girl, I was really insecure. I was mostly the darkest one in the room and didn't really feel so worthy. But one of the important things that happened to me growing up is that I had the opportunity to meet with very loving people who were able to show me the way. Not necessarily parents per se, but older people who were there to guide young people, to let them know that you are worthy, you're beautiful, you have a lot to give. And one of those persons were Elaine Went Leslie, and we were part of a radio program called Breakthrough. And we had people like Jerry Davy in Jamaica, Paula Ann Porter, and those people are now radio and TV celebrities. So I got involved in broadcasting from I was in high school, and then afterwards I started working at the major television station as a young person, as a production assistant, helping with getting programs on the ground and running, calling up people for the program, and helping with various things in connection with the production. And then I went to work in the newsroom, and got involved in all those news activities. And I loved it because the energy that I had, and my loving to be around people, that was a very good match for me. And while I was in the newsroom, I was thinking that news in the raw sense, had a lot of negative things going on. So I didn't want to be a part of too much of the negativity, the murders and all the bad things that were happening every day.
Right.
So I actually started a program called Ray of Hope to highlight the positive things that were happening in the lives of people.
And you started that was in high school or what?
No, I was out of high school and in Jamaica at the time, but I wanted to give a positive spin to news and to focus on the good things that people were not really talking about at the time.
Nice.
And that was a good point for me because even though when I was in high school, I did a lot of projects to help schools and students and that kind of thing, it just was a continuation for me to see what I could do as an individual to help brighten somebody's day, provide them with assistance, let them know what's out there and how they can turn their lives around. If it meant that somebody experienced a fire and lost everything, find a way to help people, to help them to get back on their feet.
Wow.
Or if you have a student who was struggling and they lived in the inner city, didn't have any way to pay tuition, see if we could get an organization to help that person, or that kind of thing. That was always something that was part of me, So
you
that
did that
was me.
That was an entrepreneurial effort, or was that part of the radio station, or how did that come about?
Well, I just wanted to do stories like that. Spoke with the head of the newsroom at the time, and I was allowed to do it. So we did the story, and people came on board to provide assistance. But that's just how I felt that I needed to see that kind of thing more, because sometimes as a young person watching the TV and all you see is crime and violence, you don't really want to watch that all the time when you keep feeding yourself with the negativity, although those things were actually what was happening, but I just wanted something different. But I still feel this way, even progressing to an older person. Out of my 20s, I still gravitated towards trying to do the right thing, trying to highlight the things that are of great importance, right? So I also moved on and started working in public relations. The greatest part of my work, because I've worked in several areas in Jamaica, I did media, public relations, public education as well. Right. So it's about educating the public, and it's about even going into the communities to highlight what the important things are to the people, explain certain things to them that they needed to understand in order to make their everyday life better, find out how other people can help to help those around us, in terms of corporate responsibility and that kind of thing. So I've always been in the realm of trying to figure out how I can get to help somebody or get somebody to help somebody,
Wow. Okay.
So even though it was not my main thing, that's what I enjoyed the most.
Okay. And so tell me, what was one or two or the greatest pushback you had in your work with public communications and public relations? Did people even want to hear you? Did they resist it? Or was it more the corporations that were resisting? I'm putting the word resisting, but maybe there was none. So talk about what your greatest challenge was in doing that, which seems like a passion project.
Well, I didn't really get a lot of pushback. Because I feel like people have this thing within them where they really want to help in whatever way that they can. Well, what I did realize is that when it has to do with corporate, they always want to make sure that they're the ones that are highlighted. Oh, I'm the one who's doing the job. My name has to be here. There needs to be signage over here.
Right.
And it's public relations. It's bigging up the organization, presenting a scenario that they are the ones who care, that kind of thing. Right. Even though that might be the bottom line, it doesn't prevent an individual to put their own spin on things and making sure that both parties benefit.
Nice.
So that's what I think people should always do. Even if the organization is on one side and the people are on the other side, you're the one in the middle to facilitate a meeting of the minds and get both areas to benefit, to come out
Right.
of all of this a winner.
So you're in Jamaica still during this period. Tell us about college. Tell us about how you got to where you are now. I know you're in the United States. How did that come about? You found this amazing man and he just whisked you off to the United States.
Funny. Anyway, college, I didn't really go to college in a traditional sense.
Okay.
I didn't just leave high school and enter straight into college. I went to work in media first.
Nice.
And I went and did a diploma program while I was working for maybe about 5 years after I started working in media. I didn't have all the qualifications necessary because my school was not a traditional school. I'd have to go and do my A levels because in Jamaica, you have your regular high school subjects that you have to do, and then you have the A levels, which the traditional high schools have built in. But with my technical school that I attended, you have to go to another school to get the additional A level subjects that are required for college. And I didn't do that. Right.
Okay.
I went in and went straight to work after high school. So after working for about 5 years, there's a program where you can do a diploma program if you are on the job, and that will propel you into doing the bachelor's program. And that's where I ended up. And I followed that particular line. And then after that, I wanted to go and do the master's program. Mm-hmm. So I applied for a scholarship and was shortlisted and everything. And I didn't get it. Somebody with a disability got the scholarship, which I was happy about, but it didn't prevent me from crying. But then you reach a stage, though, where you realize that sometimes when you cry about a situation and you feel as if you're defeated, you're not really defeated. It's just that that's not your path, right? That's not what you should have done. That's not where you should have gone. Yes. So you have to know that, listen, this didn't work out because that's how it should be. And I didn't do that program, but when I got here to the United States, I went and did a master's program, which was better because, when you come from another place other than the United States, yes, your qualifications are not necessarily looked upon as being on par with those who studied here. That's true. So to have your master's degree in the US would have been better for your prospects. So how did I get here? My mother, was living here, and my 3 sisters, long before I came. I was in Jamaica, they were here, and then I decided that, maybe I should go and live with my mother because there was a stage where I wanted to have a family, and, the pickings weren't that great. And I decided that maybe I should make a change. And that's how I ended up here. While I was in Jamaica and preparing to come, I met my husband in Jamaica. He too was planning on migrating. Okay. Yeah. So he met me and was saying, okay, he's going to New York. And he heard from his stepmother that I was leaving as well, and he was hoping that I was going to be going close to where he was. It wasn't just a state away. You have New York and Connecticut. So that's how that went. And he was pretty sure I wasn't dating or anything when he thought about those things or even approached me or anything. I had no such intention of linking up with him. But well, that's that destiny thing. Yeah, so that changed, and I came to Connecticut in 2005. Nice. And it was difficult because when you leave Jamaica as a professional, for you to transition into another area, it can be very challenging because when you come here from high school or at a lower level, it's easier for you to get into the system because you already go through the same system of which you are going to remain a part of. Yes. When you're coming from somewhere else and you drop in, you have to do over certain things, and it can be challenging. So you might be lucky, and something happens and you get in easily, but it was difficult when I first got here, and to get a job that you wanted to get, because you have people who, you can get a job anytime, go to McDonald's, and you're like, but I went and spent so many years studying, and I'm going to go and get a minimum wage job, and and that's not a unique story to you. That's pretty standard, I imagine, when you're coming from a whole host of different places. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So just back up a little bit. I have a question, maybe good advice for some people. Did you think that it was beneficial that you were working in your field rather than going from high school straight to the university? Do you feel that that work experience really helped you in honing in your craft even before you went to university?
Yeah, that was an asset for me. It was a
Hmm.
good thing because at the time too, I didn't have any money to pay for college tuition.
Okay.
So I'd have to go and either get a student loan or even the whole process I wasn't very aware about. Because it's
Okay.
funny, even though I was very much into the world at that time, knowing a
Hmm.
lot of things, I
Hmm.
didn't know the details about getting into college because the people who attended my high school, my technical high school, were more focused on being a part of technical things. They did things like the plumbing, electrical
Right.
stuff.
Yep.
They did typewriting and business, but they weren't doing a lot of the other subjects,
Yeah.
right? Because
University
their
preparation.
focus is to
Yeah.
prepare you for technical education,
Okay.
right? But it was good for me to go and experience work at the time, the work world, and then branch out.
Yeah.
Everybody's situation is not necessarily the same, you
Okay.
know.
Yeah. So what are you up to now? What are you doing now? How do you spend your time?
Well, before that, when I came here, I went into corporate. I
Hmm.
was working in an insurance company, doing sales and communication, and being a new wife, new home, new environment. I was working full time and going to school full time.
Wow.
Had a lot of difficulty there, but I managed to come out on top in terms of finishing up my grad program,
Hmm.
had a successful family unit going on, had my kids and that kind of thing,
Yeah.
So I know you talked before about what lesson
Yeah.
you learned.
Yes.
I learned in that experience that everybody has his or her own journey.
Right.
For you to look at somebody else's journey and compare it with your own is not always beneficial, right? Because we
Right.
have our own path and you should never undermine somebody else's nor undermine your own.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people use this, to prevent them from even feeling good about their journey.
Right.
And I brought this up to say that I remember when I was home with my daughter, because after working full time, going to school full time here, starting everything new. There was a lot of things going on, and it was hard for me to digest everything. And when I had my daughter, I took some time off, as a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And one of my classmates from college in Jamaica, when I told them that I was home with my daughter, they're like, "Oh, when I grow up, I would love to be like you." And I took that in a bad way
Okay.
because it didn't seem like a compliment at the time. It was like, okay, you have so much potential. You can do X, you can do Y, but there you are at home with a child.
Mm.
And it really hit me hard because at the time that person had gone on into politics and my classmates were becoming professors and
Hmm.
everybody is on this, rising way up, and I'm looking and I'm saying, where am I? Where am I going? And
Yes.
that kind of thing. So I thought about that and I came back to say, my journey is that I want to be the best mother that I can to my children. And I think, based on my situation, this is where I need to be and not to look at other people and their achievements and feel less than,
Yes.
So that's something I had to learn, to stop looking at others. Not that you shouldn't, because sometimes you need to look at what's there to
Right.
see that you can propel yourself. But
Yes.
when you take it internally and then use it negatively against yourself, that doesn't really work.
It doesn't
You know?
work. It's not
No,
beneficial. And then we go back to the idea of you have a different path than they do.
exactly.
And I always used to tell my children, you don't know what they're going to be like in 5 years. What if you find out that he's got cancer and he passes away? Now you wanted his life or do you want your life?
Wow.
That kind of, you just don't know what's coming. Let them enjoy their moment
I
and
know.
you take your path. But that's an incredible lesson. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing it.
So
Yeah.
so after I went to work at a school as a Montessori assistant, and my kids' school, because my two children went to the school, and it was easy for all three of us to be going to the same school,
Yeah.
going and coming, and for me to keep a close watch on the kids
Yes.
while they were, in their formative years. And also it gave me time to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
Because I had my snow days off,
Yes.
I had my summers off, I had the holidays and all those things. So it worked well for me, So that's what I was doing, working in education,
Yeah.
For over 7 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But then there was a change.
Okay. Are we coming to another change? I just want to
Yes.
say that before you keep going, for you and other women like you who slightly change paths along the way or change countries, that's a superpower to be able to pivot like that, change things and modify your life and what you're dreaming of just to care for other people. I think it's a superpower. So
Thank you.
yeah.
No, last year in November, late November,
Mm-hmm.
I changed again. In
Okay.
that I was listening to a group of people on Facebook, a group that I was a part of, a group of teachers,
Mm-hmm.
parents, and other people who worked and lived with kids with disabilities.
Okay.
And when I listened and read, my heart just sank some of the stories that they told.
Mm.
It was really hard. And even throughout the course of that week, it really, really affected me.
Mm.
And I just got up the following morning and just started writing on my phone.
Okay.
I was helping my daughter to get ready for school. And I used my phone and wrote the first version of the book.
Wow.
And it was like this.
Okay, this is a stupid question, but I have to ask, what program did you use? Was it just you text yourself? Some people write text to themselves. Was it a special app or was it just Word?
No, I went to, let me see, not Word. It's not Word. It's the one they use for...
Publisher? Was it Publisher?
No, Google Docs.
Oh, Google Docs. Beautiful. Yes.
Google Docs.
Because, somebody's trying to visualize how you're doing this and how it didn't get lost on your phone somewhere. Okay.
Yeah, so I just went into Google Docs. So I got up the morning. I was helping my daughter to get ready for school because both of them are doing virtual learning from home.
Yes.
And I was helping her to get ready. And I was so overwhelmed. I just woke up. The first thing on my mind, I was thinking about the children that these people were talking about, the pain they were in, the pain that the parents were in. And it's a situation where I realized that a lot of people just didn't understand what was happening to the children, didn't understand how the parents were feeling, and didn't understand why the teachers said or did whatever it is that they had done or were doing. Okay. So miscommunication was taking place and a lot of people were hurting, including me. Okay. And I just decided to write about it. And I just wrote the first draft while I was running around with my child. And I read it and I said, wow. And I looked at it and I said, wow. And then I said, you know what? I'm just going to turn this thing in a book because I think that I have some messages that I need for people to hear. Okay. And I just ran with it. And the funny thing is that I was working on a novel.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
But then I was working on the novel and I couldn't find enough time to dedicate to the volume that was necessary. Yeah. I was tired in the night when everybody was asleep. I was supposed to be writing, but then it wasn't going as fast as I would have wanted it to. Right. But then when I did this children's story so quickly, I'm like, this was so effortless. Okay. I did the draft for the second one very soon after. Okay. And I said, well, this is something that I should embrace because it has always been my desire to help to bring about positive change in the lives of the people around me. And I just ran with it. I have a lot of dreams and goals regarding this book series and other things.
If you are enjoying the F50 Woman podcast, don't forget to share your positive comments and ratings and share us on all your favorite social media channels. F50 Woman is a movement created for women, spread by women. Thank you for your support. Now back to the show and your host, Julia Jack.
Okay, so let's talk about this book because we need to know what this book is about. I love that this is just a gift that came right out of you and you couldn't stop it from coming. It's called Russell, the Kid That Nobody Wants Around. This is the first one.
Yes.
So don't give it away, but tell us a synopsis of what this story is about.
Well, this story is about a 7-year-old boy who is having a problem at school. Okay. His problem is that the kids in his class don't want to be his friend. Okay. They don't want to talk to him. They don't want to be around him. They don't want to work with him. Mm-hmm. So he's feeling isolated and is not able to connect. And he has a birthday party and invites all the kids in his class to come. Mm-hmm. And after that particular event, change took place, right? Change took place in the life of that boy and another boy who was very instrumental in bringing about this change, right? Parts of the story are not necessarily made up because some of the events actually happened to another boy, and I incorporated it. Nice. And it's just a message that everybody, irrespective of who they are, what they do, they deserve to have a friend. Right. It talks about kids who have things that people would call issues. Yeah. And it's just that we don't understand each other, right? Wow. Some teachers might not understand. Mm-hmm. Parents don't understand. The neighbors don't understand. Other children do not understand. Yes. So how do we create a scenario where we seek to find out more about an individual and see how we can create a situation that we can live together in a positive way? Because one of the things that strikes me is that when you deal with kids with disabilities, we are always saying, this is how you should act, this is how you should do this, or this is how you should do that. And we're saying this to the child who has this situation going on. Yeah. But then very few times we say to those looking on or those who work with or live with these kids, okay, so that's what they're supposed to be doing. What are we supposed to be doing? Yeah. How do we behave towards these children? We're not focusing on that. We're talking about the child, but we're not talking about us. And I think that there's a big gap right there. I think understanding should take place on both sides. Yeah. Right? So just like you're a teacher in the classroom, I was in the classroom for over 7 years. When a child does particular things, they don't just do it for doing its sake. Okay. Do you know why it is? Do you even care why it is the child did this or said this? And then if you know why they did it, then you can address the situation and maybe provide the child with alternatives as to how they can go about the situation. Yes. Right? So we need more of that kind of understanding. And some people talk and they don't even want to understand. And I want to bridge a gap. Right. I want to build a bridge so that both sides can cross. Okay. Yes. Because we sometimes assume that because we say they understand, or because we expect they understand what we're expecting and how to reach that expectation. I'm interested to read this book because this is not a Black thing. This is not a white thing. This is not a Jamaican thing. This is a children in school thing. I have had people who I gave a better read of the manuscript. And when they saw the cover of the book, they were asking, so why is this kid a white kid? I was going there because in your description on your website, I think it says something about diversity. And I'm on a diversity board. And when we talk about diversity, oftentimes people think that we're excluding some group of people. But that's not the case. When we talk about diversity, we're talking about the whole rainbow. White people, Black people. We just all want to be included. But I don't think people hear it that way. Maybe that's specifically why Russell is not. I actually wrote a blog entitled, Why is Russell White? Did you really? Okay. We have to figure out where to get that. Is that on your website? It is.
Okay.
I did it because people were asking me, why is the main character on the cover of the book Caucasian and it's
Yes.
red hair?
Yes.
And I am focusing on kids with disabilities.
Yes. Yes.
And this is something that crosses gender, crosses race. We're talking about kids all over the world who have issues that Russell has.
Yeah.
Russell is not just a red-headed kid.
Yeah.
There's a Russell in every school. And I should tell you there's a Russell in every class. Because when I did my research, they say at least 3 in each class has some level of differences compared to the general population of the class.
I believe that. Yeah.
So Russell is in every class, in every school, every continent.
Yeah.
So it's diversity, as the name suggests. It's not just about skin color. It's about behavior. It's about culture. It's about many things.
Yeah.
It's diverse.
Yeah.
And I use Russell in that sense because in my experience in the school setting, Russell is part of many characters.
Yeah.
And one of the characters looks similar to that one.
Yeah.
So I just chose it like that. Yeah, I didn't do it deliberately.
Okay.
But this is Russell to me.
Okay.
And one of the things I want people to understand is that although right now we have a push in, celebrating Black voices, seeing ourselves on the cover of books and seeing ourselves as good characters and reading about people who look like you, wonderful, right? As a Black person, a mother of Black children, I truly embrace that and will promote that.
Yeah.
But the Black experience is not limited to skin color. My experience in the classroom as a Black educator is that I see Black children interacting with white children.
Yeah.
I see white teachers interacting with with Black teachers. I see everybody interacting. So the Black experience is not just a story that is told of a Black child. It's also a story that a Black child tells. It's also a story that a Black child tells of a white child.
Yeah.
If you see where I'm going, because
I absolutely get it.
This particular story is narrated by a Black boy. This is a Black boy who is looking on and seeing what is happening to a kid in his class.
Yeah.
Right? And he decides that what's going on should not be going on. And he is going to do something about it.
Okay.
That's what it's about.
That's beautiful.
But the thing is, some people are narrow when they look at things, and the whole saying about don't judge a book by the cover.
Yeah.
Right? It still happens.
It happens every day.
It still happens.
Yes.
Right? But we should take the time to dig deeper. And we should always remember, as a storyteller, you don't want to be telling stories that have already been told before.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility to broaden the spectrum and to look at various aspects of a story and tell it in various ways.
Right.
So my story is about a narrator, right? Is about a narrator who is telling you what he saw.
Yeah.
And the role he played in all of this.
Nice.
Right? And that's what it is.
I love it. I love all of it. And I love that you just, like I said before, you and the book are one. It's not like I came up with this story and, I don't really know what that character is really doing. It's all thought out and it's all just one. So I'm excited. I got the chills when you were talking about, what did you say? Everybody deserves a friend. All of us at some point just wanted a best friend.
Yeah, and I've had that experience. Yesterday, my best friend, Fonia, had her birthday. We've been best friends since we were 8 years old.
Wow.
Right. And we're still best friends and we're very connected, even though she's in Jamaica and I'm in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And that feeling is a feeling that I would want everybody to have, because it's so beautiful. It's a gift that, we have the cliche about best friend is better than pocket money.
Yeah.
It's really true.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a wonderful thing to have somebody that you can connect with.
Yes.
And everybody deserves it, but you can't have a friend unless you take the time to know them.
Yes.
And that's what I'm asking people to do.
Yeah.
Take the time. Because funny you said that. When it comes to writing children's books and stuff like that, and as parents and educators, we wonder what our roles are. We should be facilitating certain things. And in the classroom, for example, when I had Russells in my class and I saw them by themselves, I would create scenarios. I'd talk to the child, hey, what it is you want to do out here in the playground. You're by yourself. Who over there you want to go play with. You want to go play ball with that one. You want to be batting with this one.
Yeah.
And I would find out what they wanted and then go to the group and tell them that the child would like to join the group.
Yeah.
And we would have rules like nobody's excluded. Everybody on the playground should be part of your game. If it's a they could say, we don't need any more players because it's a 3-person game. And when I check, it's really a 4-person's game.
Yeah.
I would just say it's a 4-person's game. You can't have another person.
Yeah.
And then so that's how we do to facilitate this kind of thing, to be vigilant so that the kids that are there, they get a chance to feel as if they belong.
Yeah.
And everybody wants a sense of belonging.
Yes, we do.
And we should help to facilitate that.
Yeah. And do you find that's more and more happening in education? I know when I was younger, I remember times where you just don't want to go outside. I just want to stay inside because I don't want to have to force myself to try to find a friend out there. Or you don't want to go to lunch because I don't really have friends at lunch. Do you feel like in education they're doing more facilitating, or is this something you're trying to push?
I think some people are getting the hang of it and the importance of it, because guess what? When you have a child that doesn't feel connected, it's difficult for you to get the child to be his or her best.
Okay.
You
Yes.
want them to your job as a teacher is for you to get the best out of this child, for the child to reach his or her full potential.
Yes.
And if the child is having issues in various arenas, it's going to be difficult to achieve that, because you want a whole person.
Yes.
You can't segment a child. You need a whole, and you have to look at the various aspects of a person. And as an educator, as a person there, who they usually depend on, there are ways that you can facilitate this. My daughter told me yesterday, actually, that at her school, they have a body bench.
Oh, well, okay.
Yes, she said for people who don't have any close friends, or if you just have a friend and you want to go talk, you go and sit on the body bench. But when somebody sees you sitting on the body bench and nobody else is there with you, somebody would come and join you. And I thought that was a great thing to do.
Wow, we should do that with adults too. I love that. Yes.
Yeah, but we need to understand our children. I think we're putting too much pressure on them for them to do things, and we are not meeting them halfway.
Okay.
Yeah. We tell them what they need to do, but what is it that we need to do?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Is it a situation where, as I mentioned, I did a blog and I wrote, is it that we're supposed to put more courses in where teachers have mandatory courses that they have to do in how to understand kids with disabilities?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because I don't remember taking any.
Yeah.
They're there, that you can take, but it's not mandatory, and they have a lot of other ones that they're already doing.
I was going to say, there's probably so much they have to do. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still feel, though, that it's going to help with the management of your classroom when you're able to understand, these kids, because a lot of times they end up to be labeled as the bad kid in the class and a disruptive agent. Yeah. And if you understand how to deal with these children, it will help with the management of your classroom in the long run. Right. So I just feel like we should just give them a chance.
And you're not just talking about the severely differently abled, because some people are just very slight. They may have a difficulty in interpersonal connection. So you're talking about the whole range.
whole range. And you have a lot of kids who are not neurotypical. So you're going to feel, oh, this person is so annoying. They keep coming beside me. Or while the teacher is trying to explain something, they're the ones who are talking. Or they're leaving the classroom every minute to go to the bathroom and disrupting stuff. They have a lot of stuff going on. And I just feel like understanding can be the root of bringing positive change. You know, even in a regular setting, in the world in general, if you do not understand a concept, if you do not understand how something works or why somebody does what he or she does, how can you address it?
Yes.
We claim that our children are so important. Oh, children are the future. Oh, children are this. But what is it that we are doing to understand the children in our lives?
Yeah.
Right? Are we doing enough? Can we look in the mirror and say, okay, I've done all that I can do?
Yes.
You know, we shouldn't give up on our children because our children need us and we are their guides, you know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like sometimes the children feel alone. They feel like the adults don't understand them. You know, the parents don't, their teachers don't, and they feel lost. And when you have kids like these, we need to find a way to reach them.
Yes. Yeah. So they don't flounder and get even more lost.
And these are the same kids that when they reach middle school and high school, the problems escalate. And they're the ones who are on, you know, the situation becomes even graver.
Yes.
So we need to deal with it earlier.
Yeah.
You know, and don't just expect everything to disappear without us working on it.
There's going to be some miracle that happens in between elementary school and high school that they'll turn around. They'll figure it out. So in your book or in future books, it sounds like you're talking about the student and the teacher. And how about the parent? Does the parent in the Russell book play a part in this, or is that something for another time?
Well, it's mostly something for another time because it's a children's book. It's a children's picture book.
Yes.
So we have limited space and I have to have focus.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this is focusing on the child, the children in the classroom, right? The teacher.
Okay.
All right. So that's the main area.
Of this
the other one that's going to follow has the principal, right? The kids in the classroom and the parent.
Okay. Different parts of the bridge.
Yeah. So I'm actually looking at various aspects in the life of a child like Russell. You know, what the problems are and the possible solutions to these kind of problems.
Yeah.
You know, and let me tell you, these problems are universal. They're the things that keep parents up at night. Yes. And I use that particular phrase because the night before I started writing, after looking at my Facebook group and the tears that these mothers were shedding, and the online conference that I was a part of, the question was posed, what keeps you up at night? Okay. And when you hear the things that keep these people up, it just goes straight to your heart. Yeah. You know? Yeah. A lot of people don't know.
Are you, is it appropriate for you to share one or two of what they are? I'm so curious to find out what they are. You know, I'm usually up at night because I just want him to finish his homework. You know.
Yeah. Okay. You have parents who have children who find navigating life difficult. You know, life in the classroom, life at home, life in the community. Okay. You have parents who talk about the fact that the people next door don't want their child to play with their kid, or they talk about the child saying that they're sorry that they were born. They have kids who they're so lonely that you want to cry, you know, and some parents are concerned that, okay, how is my child going to function in this world if I'm not here? Yes. What kind of adult will my child turn out to be? Yeah. Right? Those are some of the things that people with kids with disabilities think about. Although you might say, okay, these are things that parents think about generally. When you have a kid who doesn't have any issues, It's different from
It's
when you have a
different.
child who needs constant guidance.
Yes,
You
it's
know,
different.
so it's not the same.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah.
a lot of times we say, oh, well, oh, my child does this too, or my child is doing this, or as a mother, I'm worried about that too. But
Yes.
it's not the same when your child has various things that they need to maneuver,
Right.
and you feel like, okay, what's going to happen if I'm not around? And those are things that bring tears to the eyes of parents.
Yes.
Right? So with my books, I'll be talking about the child.
Okay.
I'll be talking about the children around them. I'll be talking about the parents, and I'll be talking about the teachers.
Nice.
Because in this world, everything, I think, is connected. Everybody has a role.
Yes.
And if you don't know what your role is, you won't be able to play it properly. I just want to bring about awareness. And with awareness, we can be able to solve any problems that arise.
And find some tools. I think the books will be the tools themselves. To hear the pain of those staying awake all night brings it to a different level. I just love what you're doing. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being inspired. Can you imagine if you weren't in the classroom? We would have missed out on all of this information, and God had to bring it through someone, and someone who had already had the heart to help people and build bridges. So I love it. So you have to tell us now, when can we read this book? When do we get it? Where do we get it? When's it coming out?
Well, if all goes well, it should be out before the end of May, before Child's Month ends.
Okay.
Because May is Child's Month.
It is it? Yeah, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, so I wanted to see if I could get it out by that time.
Okay.
Right?
And it'll be a hard book. Will it be on Amazon? Will it be a what do you call it? A Kindle book?
It's gonna be both hard and soft.
Okay.
Right. It's a paperback on Amazon, but I'm gonna have the electronic version first. So I'm gonna be asking people to go on Kindle and read the book, because you're gonna have a free period that you can read the book for free.
Okay.
And if you like the book, you can
write a
review.
I got you.
Just give me a quick review. Right? Yeah. Because reviews are very important for authors. The thing is, with my book, I can tell you, if you get a free version of the book and you read it and you don't like it, you don't have to write a review. Yeah. All right? And you don't have to buy it either.
Right. So how does our audience who are listening and waiting on the edge of their chair to get their book, how do they get in touch with you after this show is over?
Well, I have a website. It's Young-Rod.com. That's YOUNGROD.com. And if you go on that, you'll see more information about the book. Nice. And you can see, where you can link me on social media, Facebook and Instagram. Great. And you can leave me a message as well, and send me an email from Young-Rod.com. Okay. Right. And on the website too, you'll be getting sneak peeks of the upcoming, the book that follows that one. Nice. And any information that, I'll be passing on to you.
Okay. Right. Thank you so much. This has been very informative. I'm glad that we got to know you, the writer behind the book. And now we have even more understanding of why this book is so important. And we see where it's coming from. And it's just all real. So I'm thankful that you joined us. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you for sharing your book.
My writing a book or books is not to get fame, but it's for the message to reach people. And I feel that for it to reach the amount of people that I want it to reach, you have to get a certain type of status, because people are not going to see something that nobody's buying.
Yes.
Right?
It has to get the visibility.
Everybody's quiet about. So when you review, others will see. And then that's how the message gets spread.
Okay. All right, we hear that, and I'm going to be looking out for when it comes out, and I will share it on my media channels, and I'm going to get the book because I love it already. Haven't read it yet. But thank you so much, Diane, for being here, and good luck with the book, and I know it's going to do great.
Thank you so much, Julia. My pleasure being here.
Russell, the Kid Nobody Wants to Be Around by Diane Young-Rodney.
You've been listening to the F50 Woman podcast. Join the F50 Woman movement. in this diverse group of voices to help change the world one woman at a time. Why should you join at your age? Because we're not done yet.